Begin the press conference. I am Drew Griffin. I'm the city manager for the city of Florence. I am going to now introduce to you the mayor of the city, Mayor Stephen Wukela. Immediately to his left is Chief Alan Heidler, and to my left is Scotty Davis, who is our HR director and community services director, who will be leading much of the support services as it relates to our police department and to our community. So with that, I'm going to ask the mayor to step up to the podium and take center stage.
Good afternoon. We as a city have spent the last 24 hours only half believing the stark reality of what has occurred. Those in front of you in this community have been the grips of emotions ranging from pain to anger and guilt. And while feeling those emotions, I'm reminded of our friend Sergeant Caraway. His determination, his humility, his humor, and his courage among those of the other officers with whom he served were all on display yesterday. But most of all, I thought of his temperament. He had the ability to bring a sense of order and peacefulness to the most difficult of situations. That made him a great cop. It made him a great person. And it's that spirit and that temperament that was imbued in him, was imbued in the chief, and is frankly imbued in all the officers that serve the city of Florence, and certainly was demonstrated yesterday. It is that temperament and that spirit that is a model for every one of us as we deal in this most difficult of situations. And we hope to do our level best to aspire towards it. At this time, we can happily confirm that 2 of our officers have been released to the hospital, having been treated for their wounds. 1 remains hospitalized and in treatment. The City of Florence is providing a range of support services led by the Human Resources Department, Mr. Scotty Davis, and is certainly coordinating with the affected families and with the city staff. The community has been enormously supportive and continues to be. And in that vein, First Baptist Church will be holding a vigil at 7 p.m. this evening. A police vehicle is currently on site at First Baptist as a memorial. Details will be provided in the press release that will be given out at the conclusion of this press conference. Services for Officer Caraway are in the planning stages. A public viewing will take place at the Florence Center, located over on Radio Drive, from 9 until 11 on Monday, October 8th. A memorial service will follow at noon at the Florence Center, and details as well will be shared with our press release. Many people in this community and beyond have offered not only their well wishes and their condolences, but their donations. We want to thank certainly Senator Graham, Congressman Rice, Senator Leatherman, the governor, and so many others who have expressed their condolences. I spoke with Mayor Riley earlier this afternoon, for example, but they have also offered support, and many have offered their monetary donations. For those of you who are interested in donating, donations can be made to any of the PD branches of First Citizens Bank, directed to the City of Florence Benevolent Fund, and can be earmarked there for specific families. Those options will be announced on our media Facebook page and other outlets, as well as in the press release this afternoon. With that, I will defer to the Chief.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, I'll ask you to bear with me, as this has been a very tragic and devastating time for the Florence Police Department and for the officers of the Florence Police Department. I can only echo what the mayor said about Terrence, my friend, my brother Terrence Caraway. He was the first-line supervisor with the Florence Police Department of almost 31 years. The 28th of this month would have been 31 years. I sat on his review board to hire him with the police department. We've been friends for 31 years. It is a tragic loss of life for me. The mayor spoke to Terrence's character and the type of person that he was. He was the epitome of a community police officer. He loved this community. He gave it his all. With more than 30 years, he didn't have to do this job. But this was his life, and this is what he wanted to do. And serving Florence was his passion. The mayor spoke to the officers' conditions. One serious but stable condition right now. Two that, as he said, released with non-life-threatening injuries. However, they will be scarred for a long period of time. We have crisis counselors from all over the state of South Carolina. We have crisis counselors from other areas of this country and the federal government who are offering up their time to come and assist us. We have a long road to go here. But those cops put their badges on every single day, and they know what tragedy could await them. They kiss their wives, they kiss their husbands, they kiss their significant others with the thought that they're going to return, but they're going to protect this city. They're going to protect the public. At this very moment, officers of the Florence Police Department are on the street in their geographic districts, and they are protecting the city. Because that's what they do. They didn't want me to call other people. They didn't want me to call other agencies who have offered support. They said, no, Chief, we've got it. This is our city, and we're going to protect it. I want to echo again what the mayor said about the outpouring of support. And please, to everybody in this state and across this country who has offered their support, we say thank you. But please understand, it is difficult to answer under the circumstances that we have right now, because we are tending to the needs of our officers, of our families, and certainly Sergeant Caraway's family. Okay. I'll take any questions that you may have.
Chief, can you tell us if you've been called to that house before, if your officers have had to respond to that house multiple times?
Understand that this was, from the Florence Police Department, this was outside of our jurisdiction. We were responding as mutual aid to the Sheriff's Office. And let me say that they have 3 officers that were also struck by the gunfire, and that they performed more than admirably. And I do not know all of their conditions other than to tell you that we are continuing to pray for them. But go ahead.
Chief, what were your officers doing at the time when they got the mutual aid call? Were they all in the same location, or did they come to the house from different locations?
Yeah, they came from different locations. These are officers, in fact, one was off duty. It was close to 5 o'clock, and I was walking up the stairway, the back stairs of this building, and he was leaving for the day, and we exchanged some pleasantries, and I told him to have a great night. He didn't know that about 5 minutes later, on his way home from work, that this call would come out and he would be involved in this situation. Yes, they were coming from all different areas of the city, off-duty, on-duty, officers who were working off-duty jobs. It's how we respond to incidents. And we were the closest backup officers for the Florence County Sheriff's Office at that time.
Chief, did you say anything at this time about the weapon that Mr. Hopkins had?
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that. That's going to be in regards, that's going to be the investigative authority that will do that.
Is there a reason why SLED is not leading the investigation?
Say that again?
Is there a reason SLED is not leading the investigation?
Again, this is outside of the city limits of Florence, and the,
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt it. You know, what's important to understand is this was the Florence County Sheriff's Department responding outside of the city limits. We went there to support the Florence County Sheriff's Department as they would have for us. The investigation and the direction of the investigation and who's involved in the investigation is completely outside of our jurisdiction or our control, and really we don't know very many of the details of the investigation for that reason. So we were certainly involved in that respect, but beyond that, we really don't have much knowledge, and we're kind of just tending to our own now.
Chief, can we get the names of the other officers in your department who were shot?
yeah, and we're going to release that at some point, but right at this particular time, the officers that have been released and the officer's family that is still in the hospital would like us to hold off on that, and I'm going to respect those wishes.
Chief, generically, can you talk about a timeline? This was a sheriff's department operation that somehow went bad, and then you guys were called in as backup? I know that a lot of this will have to come from the sheriff's department at some point, but as generically as you can you kind of go through some of the timeline for us?
From the information that I have, our officers, and all I can respond to is how our officers became involved, and that was that they were dispatched to back up officers from the Florence County Sheriff's Office who were under gunfire. And basically, that's as much as I have at this point in their response, and they were providing that backup to them. Understand there was no idea where the gunfire was coming to when they got into that area.
Do you know at this point if Officer Caraway and your other officers were involved in a rescue attempt of these deputies when they were fired upon? Or did they basically just drive cold into an officer-involved shooting incident and found themselves caught up in it?
Yeah, I can answer some of that, but again, that's part of the investigation, and I'm going to let the investigative authority that the sheriff's office has contacted answer that.
Chief, was Sergeant Caraway shot in his patrol car?
It is my understanding that he was not.
Can you speak to, in just speaking with a senior official with direct knowledge of the investigation at the scene, as he sort of explained to me where the patrol cars were, where Sergeant Caraway's was, where the blue unmarked Crown Victoria was, it surprised me as to how far back from the house they were, that they took that incoming fire. Can you speak more to that?
Again, I don't want to give up any details of this investigation, and I don't know, me speaking to that would compromise anything, and I promise you, I am not going to do anything that's going to compromise this investigation in any way, shape, or form.
Then answer this, is there anything that surprised you about how it all went down?
Absolutely. I mean, this happened in Florence, South Carolina, and this is the most tragic event in the 35 years that I've been with Florence Police Department to have occurred in this area. So certainly I was surprised that there was an incident of this nature. I will tell you, when you talk about a vehicle, that that one of my officers was struck while he was in the vehicle.
Can you comment at all about the condition of the suspect?
I cannot.
What was the mood amongst the department this morning, reporting to duty?
Well, they're obviously distraught, but they were with great resolve to protect this community. We are reaching out to all of our officers, and we will be providing not only crisis counseling, but a chief and command level briefing for them so that we can ensure that they understand the events as they took place, and that some of the things that they see maybe on social media, that we debunk some of the things that they're hearing. And we're going to be doing that today.
Chief, I know this was a sheriff's office case, but can you speak at all to the nature of the warrant that was being sued?
I can't. I certainly can't. That would have to come from the sheriff's office. I'm sorry.
The aircraft vehicle that was used, is it a city vehicle?
Can you hang on just a second? She's been waiting for.
Thank you. I have two questions. Have you spoken with Caraway's family in Darlington yet?
Have what?
Have you spoken with Caraway's family in Darlington?
Yeah, I'm actually going over there after this to spend some time with them. I was with them last night.
And we were told that he was named Officer of the Year in 2004 here with starting a camp for children. What else can you think of that's most memorable?
Of him?
Yes.
I've got a multitude of memories. We were, certainly the camp is, he was involved in starting of the Camp Fever, which was a very excellent camp for disadvantaged kids. And he had a passion for kids, and I think that's what stuck out with me more so than anything else, was his passion to see kids in impoverished areas have an opportunity to do things that maybe they might not ever have an opportunity to do. As the mayor said earlier, this was a guy that laughed all the time. He was a giant of a man, but he was the proverbial gentle giant. And I loved him.
Did your officers know going in the type of firepower they were facing, and whether they did or didn't, would it have altered their actions if they had?
You know, it's tough to talk about to that point. It's my understanding right now that they didn't know the level of firepower that they were going into. However, I can tell you, when an officer is taking fire, they're going to do everything that they can to get to that officer and get to the citizens that are in the crossfire, to rescue them, to save them, and to protect them.
How often are you guys called out to assist county authorities?
I'm sorry.
How often are you guys called out to assist county authorities? Is it a weekly thing? Is it a daily thing?
You know, it's periodic because we have in South Carolina some unique boundaries of jurisdiction. So sometimes there's pockets of county jurisdiction that are contained, encircled by city. So in a lot of those cases, we're called out frequently. But understand that the county reciprocates. They have jurisdiction throughout the city of Florence also. Whenever they're listening to their radio and they hear a severe call come down and they're close to them, they're backing us up.
Chief, the aircraft vehicle that went in to diffuse the situation, is that a city vehicle or is that a county vehicle?
The what now?
The assault vehicle?
No, that's a county vehicle.
It's a county vehicle.
Yes.
This may be a better question for the county, but from your standpoint, how critical is it that you have access to equipment like that to aid in your officers' defense and bringing resolution to these types of situations?
I think it's very critical, and it's why we have the mutual aid agreements with multiple agencies, because we share in those types of equipment when necessary, and we have those avenues. If we don't have a vehicle, the sheriff's office does. If they don't have something and we have it, we're bringing it to them. So it's what we do in law enforcement.
Chief, there was the time period between getting that vehicle in there and being able to extricate the men safely. How long was it before your officers were able to be removed from the scene?
I can't give you an exact time. I can tell you that I was out there and it seemed like it was forever, but it was not.
Do you have a frame of
30 minutes?
from the moment in which they were wounded until you were able to?
Again, I'm just grasping at a time. I'm unsure.
Sure.
I would guess 30 minutes.
Okay. But I just want to make sure I'm understanding. 30 minutes from the moment they were wounded until they could be taken out, right?
Yeah, again, that's the only answer I can give you.
Can you elaborate on the level of firepower that officers were up against?
Say what they were up against?
Yeah, the level of firepower.
Again, and I think that question was asked previously, but that's probably something that needs to come from the investigative authority.
When did you get on the scene? At what point were you able to get to the scene and be there for your officers?
We were there within a matter of moments after the situation took place. I would guess I was on scene 5-6 minutes after the incident occurred.
We'll take maybe one more, and then we've got a press release for y'all.
Did your officers return fire before they were injured?
That is still being investigated. Our officers were involved in gunfire with that suspect. Whether it was the ones that were struck, we haven't gotten that far yet.
Thank you.